Hey, what's going on? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Lettuce, $4.79 a head. At the terminal retail, or not retail, wholesale, a case of 24 lettuce today. This is wholesale, selling for $103. Figure that out. $4.29 a pound wholesale lettuce. So when someone's selling lettuce today at the store for $4.79, that's just the gas that costs them to go get it, and they're not making any money on it. So they're not ripping you off. They're just giving you the lettuce because they don't want you to go somewhere else to get lettuce, and so they're providing it. But folks, food is insane. I mean, and I don't know how much of this is manufactured, but a lot of it is. I mean, so kerosene prices are up and diesel fuel prices are up, and that's a lot. Okay, the fuel. I mean, it costs a lot of money if you want to take a truck full of food from California to Cleveland. You're talking $15,000 to $17,000. Okay, with the fuel, and compared to probably six thousand, seven. So it's cost a lot of money, and everything's cost money. But you know what? They're scamming us. They totally are scamming us too. I mean, here's a good one now is chicken egg prices. You buy eggs. I mean, they're three. If you get them for $3, go buy them. But they're $4, $5. I mean, and they say they're up 30%. And why are they up 30%? Um, and um, they're up 30%. I'm from Ohio, and we have eggs here too, and so they're up 30%. But why are they up 30%? Well, think about this: the bird flu. Okay, this you don't hear about this, but they'll create bird flu. Okay, and then they'll go kill all the chickens. Like in England, they had a case of bird flu, right? Not even from a chicken, from like a bird that happened to be flying overhead that ran into I don't know, a billboard, and they pick up and they take it to a lab, and then somebody said it had bird flu. It's not even like, is it even real? And then all of a sudden they go across the towns and kill everybody's chickens. And you know what they're doing now? You're gonna have to barcode everything. So you got to barcode your chickens so they know who's got chickens, and they're going to make us barcode food. So if you're growing lettuce, you're going to have to say where you're growing the lettuce. Excuse me. Where you bought the seeds, what you use, when you water it, and you have to have all this in a computer program. And that would and then so then if you take it to a wholesaler to sell it, you're gonna have to it's gonna have to follow the barcode. So they'll know if you're at a farmer's market where your lettuce came from. And they can look it up. And this is happening to all the food. You imagine you have to do that with a strawberry? So it's completely out of line. I mean, even in America, they've had bird flu cases where they whack out the chickens. So okay, so that's where the 30% of eggs and chickens comes out. But the vegetables are up to 13% higher than normal this year. Milk is up 15%. Now, real turkeys, I mean, I don't know about when they have these crazy sales and the 89 cents and $1.19. That doesn't last long. But turkeys are up 100%. Meat is up. You know, and you have to decide. Oh, cost of living. I think that's cost of living is I think like 7% is up. Cost of living, inflation 8%. Um, think what else? Um, Housing prices are kind of crazy up and down, and so you're gonna have to pretty soon. It's gonna be like, do I heat my house or do I eat food? It's totally sane, and they're gonna blame it on all kind of stuff. Okay, droughts. They blame it on droughts. They blame it on fuel costs. And I don't know. We're at the point now where you're not even sure. what's real and who's lying. I mean, droughts. How, droughts they want to blame on, the CO2 stuff, right? And they want to blame that, but at the same token, there's hundreds of companies that weather modify. I mean, all the ski resorts are all getting snow, not from the water they blast on the slopes, but from ground seeding, cloud seeders. They have hundreds and hundreds of cloud seeders. They incomplete combustion throws particles into the air and it goes over the mountain. It snows, and so they can modify weather. They can, nobody knows, but the JP8 fuel has metals in it, and so you could easily modify the weather and cause a drought somewhere. And the way you would do it is you would put JP8 fuel in there, and that has aluminum and barium and strontium in it. And everybody knows that you can't have a cloud without a particle. That's why if we didn't have volcanoes, we'd be dead because those particles float around, for they float around for 10 years, and then they create clouds. So when you have planes, and we have over 30,000 sorties, okay, and there's a lot of great programs. You can see what's up flying, and which government planes are flying, and which commercial flights are flying, and mail flights. But there's so many flights, and there's one computer that controls all of them, because if not, they'd be bouncing into each other. And they call them, I don't want to say the word um, chem I'm not saying that word, and I'm not going to say con, that other word. The word between those two words would have been trail. And so, you know what, that's all not even say that word either, but the fuel causes particles. And when the particles float, they attract moisture. And of course, that's how you get rain. So I don't know if you notice it, but on certain days, you see a ton of that stuff going back and forth. And then it rains the next 2 days. Well, think about it. If you got a computer program that does all the sorties, okay, and it says, well, maybe we want it to rain on this Monsanto's farm, because Bill Gates owns it, but we don't want the little farmers to have rain because we want to, mess them up a bit. So they change they change a couple hundred flights. They just move them over here and make them go around this way, and they that's why they're always lined up, and all of a sudden it creates like a moisture condensation up in the sky, and it holds it or steals it or moves it. So yeah, drought can be created. You could also steal water. Like, what are they doing to people in California? Fires. The last 4 or 5 years, there's so many fires. Why are they doing it? Well, some of the fires are because the trees are radioactive. So you go up on Santa Susana, okay, and Rocketdyne. Well, that was where the first nuclear reactor really melted, 1950, hydrogen nuclear reactor. And they had all kind of chemicals up there. And all those trees are radioactive. So trees that are 67 years old, you think that radiation leaves a tree with its half-lives? No, man, you got radioactive trees up in the mountains. So what do? Hey, you have a little drought fire, right? Burn up the trees. And then maybe you change the wind direction. You can do that. You could do that with ionic heaters. There's like 9 different things they do. Okay, they have ionic heaters. HARP, look it up. They're all over the country. You want to find them all? There's some brand new ones now in the Netherlands that are amazingly large. Okay, you think they're just shooting sound waves to Jupiter and bouncing them back for experiments? Man, are you kidding me? Ionic heaters aren't used for that. Study it. And you want to learn about the patents and the reality of that? Go to climateviewer.com. Look it up, man. It's amazing. He's got all that there. And you can look up the patents, you can look up the studies, you can see where they're at. He's got maps, you can find them all at. And there's Dopplers. Okay, Doppler can do it. Then you got microwaves, you got satellites, you got sounding rockets, you got high altitude injections, you have ground seeding. I mean, China is buying our fuel, and they have 30,000 or more fuel burning furnaces. Okay, and what are they doing? they're causing incomplete combustion, and you could also see the fumes just by going to this other site called Null School. Go to Null School and look up, and you'll see that China and India are the biggest polluters on this planet. Okay, they're polluting all ways. But let's get back. They're ground seeding. They're causing clouds, and then they steal the precipitable water, which maybe this water should be going to, should be really going to uh, um, Australia and coming down through Canada, right? And that's gone, and that's the water supposed to kind of hit California too. They're stealing that, okay, and they're doing it also with ships using bunker fuel. They, bunker fuel, you can look that up too, and you can actually see the ship tracks, 5 or 6 ships that just go around in circles and circles, and you can see what they do to the atmosphere. So China's ground seeding, and they're growing food in the desert. Yeah, they're growing food in the desert. And they're also doing that places down in some of the desert areas, Saudi Arabia and those areas. They're also experimenting with growing food in their deserts because they want their own food. They don't, they want to be, um, they want to be self-dependent. And so drought is something they want to blame on something, but they could create it. And if you drought somebody out, then the government gives them a bunch of money, right? And then they give them more money not to grow. And then people like Bill Gates come in and buy it up. Or, Big Pharma comes in there and buys up off the farmers. So that's a problem, okay? So that's the reason why some of the food is high because of the droughts we had. Then we have these bird flus that are doing the meat. And then, of course, the indoctrination, our colleges and our universities that indoctrinate these kids so, they don't eat the meat, so that's causing a lot of the beef prices to go up. I mean, if you're a beef farmer, you know, I mean, you still got to make money and, supply and demand, right? So you're going to raise it. So the other problems we're having is you think fuel's going to go down? Probably not. Diesel fuel maybe. I mean, rails are down 15-20%, and barges they're down 15%. And I heard that, I read somewhere that the barges they're like late 30-40%. If you've got dispensable food on a barge, it's late. What do you think's going to happen to that food? You're going to have to throw it out. And so, between inflation and I think they're actually fixing prices personally. I mean, $4.29 for a head of lettuce. It's just unprecedented. I mean, the vegans, all you college kids, you millennials that don't eat meat anymore, go buy your $4.69 lettuce. Seriously, vegetables are amazing. And here's the thing, you guys still haven't figured it out. You guys still haven't figured it out. I mean, you could solve a lot of these problems. First of all, why does your backyard have grass? I mean, why does your front yard have grass? But start in the back, okay? And you got gutters with water, right? So you can take some of that water, feed it, and you can start container gardens. I mean, and I don't care where you live in the States, you can, like, I'm going to do gardens this year. I've been doing them for 5 years now, but I'm going to do double planting. So I'll have a spring crop, and then I'll have a fall crop. So, like right now, I'm doing garlic, okay, and I'm going to pull the garlic in July and then get the pots ready, and I'll do some greens, and I'll do lettuce. Yeah, I'm going to do lettuce for sure because at $4.69, I didn't grow lettuce this year. I'm certainly going to grow it next year. And garlic, I didn't grow this year, dummy me. And I ended up paying. I had to go to auction because I didn't have any garlic this year. And we're talking auction price. And I had to buy garlic at $2.30 a garlic, per garlic, And so, so all shipping is expensive, containers, some of these, I got a few people on talking about e-containers and everything. And, you can get to the point where you're going to have to choose. People are going to have their heaters down low this year. Now, what about next year and the year after that, and the year after that? A lot of things are going to happen. I'm going to predict right now that all the 50% of all the strip centers that we have are going to crash and boom. They're going to crash. They're starting to empty out now. Who's going to these people that are like the restaurants? Some of the restaurants couldn't make it, but the ones that did the delivery food service are doing okay. And these kids are ordering everything delivered. So some of them will do good, but not all of them. And another thing, people aren't going to when you got lettuce, this video is about lettuce, $4, and I think it was $4. I said, and 29 cents, and they're selling it for 4.79. They really should be selling it for $6 or $7 to make a profit on it. They're not going to. They're going to sell it under 5 because they bought it under 5, and they just want you to come to the store. They're not gonna gouge you on things that they're getting gouged on. So basically, you're going to want to go back to the garden thing. You're going to want to probably start something in the back, and you're going to want to start collecting seeds, and get your seeds right now. Don't wait until March, okay? If you get the seeds in March, the problem is you're going to have to go to your big box stores, and those seeds are coming from overseas. And I bought those seeds before. First of all, they're not heirloom. You want heirloom. They're not, they're probably from GMO. Who knows? And I'm not an expert in that. But I know I bought those seeds before, and I planted them, and sometimes you only get 30%. I did somewhere, I got less than that. And so, you want to get your seeds now. Maybe you pay a little bit of extra money this year for them, and just remember, you can make your own seeds. So if you're going to do like heirloom potatoes, let's say you're doing, I don't know, sunburst tomatoes. Well, just keep a few and collect the seeds, and 1 or 2 tomatoes is enough seeds for the following year, right? And, some people will store them in the freezers, whatever. So you collect your own seeds and start, go start collecting garbage. A lot of people throw out their pots, pick them up, make your own. And instead of growing grass in your backyard, you can grow food. And then you won't be, worried, you go to the grocery store today and it costs you, for example, if you go to, let's say I want to spend $100. So I go to Aldi's, and I'm going to get maybe for $100, I'm going to get like 6 bags of food, right? Then if I go to Giant Eagle, I'm getting 4 bags. If I go to Heinen's, I'm getting 3 bags. And if I want to be, bring my little puppy, with a little sweater and walk around, I can go to Whole Foods and get 1 bag or 2 bags. So, depending on where you want to shop, how you want to shop is important, but it's still going to be expensive even at Aldi's. I mean, Aldi's has, they have like 3 or 4 things that are really priced low, but they expect you to buy the expensive stuff. So just go buy those 3, 4 things at Aldi's, find out which is the sale thing, go to Heinen's, and just get the cheapest thing at each one, and that's it. And don't buy it from other people. Maybe you can work it that way. Bottom line is you could subsidize it, and you could have a garden. I would say, I think in one of my videos, I can't remember how many square feet per person, but you pretty much need a whole backyard. And don't worry about it, because if you have too much food, you just preserve it. Sure, you can fill up your freezer, and get another freezer. Not a bad idea. The problem is with freezers, you require electricity, and we're going to get power outages. Believe me, we used to get power outages that last 50 minutes or a couple hours. Not today. Some of these power outages in some areas go for weeks, days. You go 2 weeks, your freezer's done. So, I don't know, maybe you get, at that point, if you got a lot of free, so let's say you got a bunch of, you're a freezer kind of guy, then you need a generator, right? And so that's a whole nother thing. But you could also dry, you could pressure cook, you could can, if you got a lot of money, you could freeze dry. Now, I don't know about the freeze dry. That's one thing I haven't done yet because they're very expensive. And so you really got to start thinking. I mean, you're going to be working a lot of extra hours, and all your money is going to go to eating. You're not going to have any. You're not going to have time. You're not going to have any money left over to buy an extra pair of tennis shoes, or you're not going to have any money left over, to buy name brands, maybe one or two, but it won't be like it used to be. So what do you think is going to happen to the strip centers? I mean, we already know what happened to the malls. Those guys crashed back in the back 10 years ago, right? All the malls crashed and they tore them down, and some box stores came in, and some they just tore down, and of course Amazon moved in with their big buildings. But these strip centers all over the place are going to start emptying out. And unless, I mean, there's only so many antique shops you could have, you know. Um, I mean, how many pet shops do we need? I mean, how many shoe stores do we need? And so they're all going to crash. They're going to crash totally, and they're going to be converted into um, probably apartments. Okay, so that's going to happen. And another thing, we already done the warehouses, right? Because everybody moved overseas, and so these kids, they don't want to cut the grass. They don't want to shovel. They want to walk downstairs, and have a $6 coffee. So they're renting all those out, and they're spending all their money on that. Maybe they're putting some away. But how did the stock market do this year? I mean, you know, you lost another 20%, right? I mean, so if you work the last 30 years, and let's say you had $1 million, in your 401, you'd have to be, older people have that maybe. You just lost 200 grand this year. 200 grand. Think about that. Is it going to come back? I don't know. What if you invested in crypto? Oh man, you had $1 million in crypto. Now you only got 300 grand. You lost 700 grand. People are losing their butts, and then a little bit of money you got left over, you think you're going to win the lottery, so you go play the lottery and blow it on that. It's amazing. It's amazing. You got to be smart, man. You got to be smart. And when you see lettuce at $4.89, you're like, wait a minute. You got to step down and say, I got to stop this bleeding here. I'm not paying that. So back to my garden. Um, the yeah, yeah, that's right. All the shopping malls have crashed, but now so are the strip centers, like I said. So you want to watch. Don't watch don't watch The View and watch a bunch of freak show women tell you what's going on and give you all the superfluous news. Nobody cares. You don't care about what Whoopi said, and yeah, who cares? Who gives a crap about that? You got to watch like the New Age farmer and learn how to farm, and then learn how to utilize your backyard. So and you can become a great farmer. I mean, you can start your stuff this winter, and if you've got water, instead of dumping water out, dirty water, go in your basement, get a couple lights and start your seeds early. This way you can start your garden early in your backyard. Go start garbage picking. People throw stuff out for your garden. They got poles and stakes and containers and pieces of wood. People throw wood out. Go get it and make yourself a raised bed. Free soil. A lot of cities give free soil out. And it's not necessarily soil, but leaf humus. That's where I get mine. Find the places to get it going. And like, for example, I'm doing garlic this year. And when I pull the garlic, I'm going to do lettuce. That's right. I'm going to do lettuce for the second half. So I'm going to do 2 plantings. So if you own property, utilize it. Now, if you don't own property, there's a lot of people that do have property, and maybe you knock on a few doors, say, hey, could I have some of your backyard? Hey, tell you what, let me farm your backyard because I live in an apartment, and I'll give you half the food. Okay? And maybe, water, that's another one. They're going to start cutting back on the water. Like there's some states you can't even get rainwater, like in Colorado and places in California, and then what happens is they steal the water from the aquifers, and then you and me become slaves, right? And we can't have water. So figure out how to get water from your gutters and driveways, however you want to do it. And maybe you got to recycle some of it. You can do that. Think about your backyard, and then start learning how to preserve food. I mean, if you can go down to your basement or your cellar and get a couple jars of stuff that potatoes, and don't buy the stuff buy it at peak season. So you wouldn't want to buy potatoes now, right? Nuh-uh, no. And if you're going on a trip somewhere, let's say you're going out west and it's potato season, may bring back home some potatoes, and you could can those potatoes. You could pressure can them. Pressure canning can last 5, 7. I mean, I had corn from 4 years ago. It tastes just like the day I put it in the can. Well, maybe not the corn. It was actually fine. But other foods, my beans and stuff like that, 4 or 5 years, will taste the same. And you don't need electricity because electri- it's good to have a freezer for sure. Not a bad idea. And it's always good to learn how to can and get a pressure canner in case the power goes out. Then you could, like, I have extra jars. By the way, jars, unbelievable. I mean, if you go to a drugstore and get yourself a 12 pack of quart wide mouth jars, $19. Yeah, $19 for 12 of them. The lids last year, you couldn't even get lids because people were hoarding them. And so you start looking for those jars. And a lot of people sell jars at garage sales. They think they're worth the buck. I, I wouldn't do. I would look around for the jars, and you could keep reusing jars and then get your lids. Now, I used to throw lids out, but my buddy taught me how to take the lids off very carefully and slowly. And guess what? I've been reusing lids. Yeah, you can reuse the lid. So now so you could recycle your jars and your lids. And $4.69, 79 under $5 lettuce is out of hand. And so is steak. I mean, it costs you $20 for a steak. Imagine that. So maybe you don't want to do a steak. Maybe that's what the freezer is for. You go out to Amish land and get yourself a cow and split it with a few people, and now it's costing you around 2, 3, let's say 350. I did it last year. It cost me 260 from the time from the time Elsie left the field until the time she was in the freezer in bags. It was around 260. That was last year. This year is 360. Maybe it'll be more next year, but that's another thing you could do. So, and another thing, you don't know what's going. I mean, maybe these lettuce people are getting together, and they're like, this is, I guess these are food holidays, right? Between Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, so as they raise all the food prices, right? And then you have the summer holidays, which are vacation holidays, and so they raise the gas, right? And your Cedar Point tickets go up, your passes and stuff. So right now the food's up. So like I know that the turkey that I'm going to have, I have, I have my family and my wife has a family, so I have 2 turkeys. Okay, and last year I bought the turkeys for 29 cents because they had a lot of them, and so I bought a bunch of them. Guess what? I got 2 turkeys in the freezer from last year at 29 cents. It's going to cost me $6, both Wednesday family and Thursday family. And it's probably not the best turkey. It's probably got all kind of crap in it, but 29 cents from last year. And so you want to have the stuff ahead of time. You never want to buy stuff when you got to get it. So, I mean, I don't believe in Christmas, so I'm going to buy Christmas presents, but why would you go Black Friday shopping? I just did a video on Black Friday being a big scam. Why would you want to do that? And somebody's saying, hey, live off the grid. I'm like, well, a lot of people do. And, all these homesteaders now got YouTube videos and they got their own thing going on. But they're going to, some places won't even let you live off the grid. You got to bring in city water, municipal stuff, and maybe I'll study some of that. But living off the grid is the way to go. But you can still live off the grid in the city because you just convert your house. I mean, if you got an extra bedroom, you know what? Go collect some tables that people throw out and then collect some of those lights. But you know what the best kind of light is? Fluorescent, incandescent lights, right? Well, a lot of times people remodel their homes, they throw those things out. Those are like $60, $80. Grab them because the plants will use those. That's good it's the right kind of light frequency, and get some tables, and you could plant stuff in that bedroom or in that. I use my basement. I have a tent, like my tent's a six by eight, or yeah, 6 by 8, and I got shelving in there, and I start all my stuff in there. You know, electricity, you got to be smart. Um, Figure out what when to do it. So, but you could start this stuff in your house, convert your house, so you could combat this $4, $5 lettuce thing. But you know what? You can't combat it last minute. You gotta you should make a goal that next year you're not going to let them do this to you. So you slowly work on it. Instead of watching some shows on TV at night, you could be getting your little tent together, your room together, or building that wood that you garbage picked and making some tables upstairs. People are so worried about how things look and decorating. Who cares? Who cares? It's all about working less and having more time for yourself. Not working more, making more money, spending more, and having nothing, and becoming a slave to commercialism and a slave. That's why these malls are at the malls. The strip centers are going to crash. These people. I mean, Amazon's cheap, right? For now, what do you think is going to happen when half the stores close? You think Amazon's still going to be cheap? That's how they do these things. It's actually not as cheap anymore. It was cheaper before, and it gets more and more expensive. You know, um, and um, there's a couple questions, and I can't. I'll read them later. So, anyways, you want to combat that lettuce. You don't want to be in a position where you're going to, decide whether you want to eat or you want to heat your house. And even heating your house, oh my God. I mean, okay, you locked into some prices. You think those prices are going to stay the same? I mean, no. Firewood. Firewood's not cheap anymore. Go try to buy some firewood. You want to subsidize your gas heat with firewood? At one time that was okay. Now if you got a dead tree in a forest, or you're in a business where you get free firewood, that's fine. But the rest of the world's got to pay for it, and it's not. It's very expensive, and even the crappy wood they sell that causes creosote and all that, that's expensive as well. So fuel is expensive. Pellet stoves, you know, I got some videos on all this stuff. So it's like you're going to have to be smart. You're going to have to say, I don't need a North Face. I don't need Reeboks. I don't need seated car seats that are heated. I don't need a Cedar Point ticket. I don't need to go to Alaska for a dolphin, or not a dolphin, but a whale cruise. I don't need any of that stuff. What you do need is maybe you waste your gas picking some garbage. Get rid of. I mean, why do you want to kill weeds in your backyard? You could be growing food back there. Why are you wasting cutting? Why are you using your Toro and using gasoline to cut the grass in your backyard? Insane, insane. And so you need to figure out how to change. Unless, of course, you're just all rich and you're millionaires, so you don't care. Well, then whatever. But anyways, you got to combat the lettuce prices. This is a good way to do it. So this is my morning rant, and thanks for coming on. I also have, for home inspections. That's what I do for a living, anyways. It's my thing. I do have a service. You can call Marco with a question. If you anywhere in the country, if you have a problem that nobody else can solve, I've been doing it for 40 years full time, 18,000 inspections. I pretty much solve any house problem. So I have that service. Also, if you can. Rate and subscribe, that would be great. And ring the bell so you get some of my videos. I'm going to probably do some of these now. I'm working on my book, so I'll probably jump on that this winter. So I'll try to get a bunch of videos out now. And don't believe everything you hear. Bird flu. Come on. I mean, they're running out of this flu thing. This flu thing is getting a little bit out of hand. I mean, all over the world, And now they want to kill our chickens. They want us to barcode our chickens. The drought thing. Okay, if you think that's all natural, great. It's not. There's nothing natural about weather. A lot of this weather is modified, and maybe I'll do some videos on it. But every time I do that stuff, I get beat up by either Facebook or by um, YouTube, and I've had a few strikes, so I got to be careful what I say and how I say it, and so it's all social engineering, it's all control, it's all bullshit, and you know what? You're so preoccupied. They got you so preoccupied. Now they're going to preoccupy you so you work more, and they're going to steal your money. They're stealing your investment money. I mean, look at the stock market. They're going to steal future potential. They're screwing up the houses. They're more houses getting torn down than they're building. But then at the same token, the population growth in America is dropping too. And I did a video on that. The cost of living is not going to go down. Nothing ever goes back to where it was before. It always just goes back up. And maybe the gas prices will come down a bit. Maybe. Thank you for coming on. Um, is lead bad for growing? I'll do one on lead. Is lead LED? Oh yeah, LED lights. Um, yeah, I did a video on that. I don't know where it's at. I got like 800 videos. But yeah, LED lights. They're in the wrong color zone. Okay, so the worst lights are compact fluorescent. Those are like 400. That's in purple color zone, and well, the colors are bad for our brains. Our brains and our body's an electrical system, and we work on the Schumann resonance. Okay, I'll do a video on that, but no, compact is bad. LED, there's certain ones that might be okay. Halogens are bad. Mercury vapor are bad. If you're going to grow lights, they do sell grow lights, and maybe I'll look at. I got 50 of them, so I got kind of crazy last year. I bought them. I actually bought them 2 years ago, and they're cheap. This year they're going to be double, double. So whatever you buy this year will be more money next year. Don't. Everything's going to keep going up. It's going to make it impossible. And so, you could garbage pick those. I see mine in garbages all the time. Figure out which cities have garbage days and cities have bulk days. Drive up and down and get your stuff. You don't have to be proud and go to a store to Home Depot and spend $60 when somebody throws them out. Then just go buy some light bulbs at Home Depot. Yeah, and so you could do this, okay? Um, and as far as the LEDs are cheaper. You got to do some stuff. I'm not a light expert. Maybe this winter I'll figure. I had at least 4 or 5 different types of lights because I was just winging it, and I would just move my plants around because I didn't have time to figure that stuff out. Maybe this year I'll figure it out. Okay, there is a science to it, but yeah, start your plants. And don't start them too early, depending on where you're at. I remember one year I started them at the end of January, and I was in big trouble because they were just taking over my whole basement because they were getting bigger and I had to keep transplanting them. Last year I started in the first week, March. That was almost too early. So what I'll do this year is start the March ones that have like 90 days, those types of vegetables. And then maybe some of the tomatoes I'll start in the middle of March, you know. But it's always good to start them early. You can also go to places like in Cleveland. Let's say you want like really inexpensive flats, okay? So you could find out in your town where you're up in Cleveland, there's a place called Green City Growers, and I think it's on Friday mornings, is where it's open to the public. And these are the people, what they do. You think your nurseries that you buy your plants from grow the stuff from seeds? No. They go to Green City Growers. All of them. Don't let them, they lie to you, man. Just like, these people that sell food, they're all going downtown, but anyways, they buy the stuff from Green City Growers, and I did it. And I bought a flat of, it was like 300 or 200, I don't know if it was 175 or whatever of flowers, okay, marigolds, okay, and I companion planted them, all of them, and it cost me, I think it was like $22 for 300 marigolds. Yeah, so they also sell vegetables like that. So if you get a lot of them, you'll go in with a couple of friends. Let's say you decide, 5 of you guys start a backyard garden group, and you can go there or go to an auction. Every place has some kind of Amish auction, and they're always selling starts. And the first set of starts are a little bit expensive. You got to know when to get them. And you could, if you want to get, let's say, basils, and there's starts, you get 100, 175 basil plants, but you could split them with 5 people, right? So you could do that. So you can also, if you don't want to grow your own stuff, you just got to figure out where to get it. And you're not going to go to a nursery because these nurseries are completely insane. They want to sell you an herb for $3 to $5. Insane. I bought a pound of basil. I didn't realize it about 3, 4 years ago. A pound of basil seeds off the internet, and I think it cost me, I don't know, $80. You realize that I have over like 50,000 seeds in there? Actually, it's more than that. And I still have almost a whole pound. 3 years later, I'm growing them. So, $5 for a basil plant or sage plant. That's insane. Insane. Don't you grow those yourself. Get the seeds and grow them yourself, man. And a lot of those plants come back the following year. You got to get a couple of books on herbs. But yeah, you could herbs, so you can do herbs and fruit and vegetables and $5 lettuce. You could do all that, all that. But you know what? Can't do it last minute. Anyways, I think I'm just rambling and babbling at this point. So hey, thanks for coming on.